In this video, I'm going to show you how to deal with traffic and junctions uphill. I'll leave downhill for another video, and I already have a hill start video which I'll leave a link to in the description. To master a manual car on a hill, you need to work with the hill. Don't try to fight the hill. Uphill, you'll be using the hill to help you slow down. Here's one method of doing it. Handbrakes on in first gear. Gas, lift the clutch to the bite point, handbrake off, and we start moving forwards, catching up with the car in front of us in the traffic. As we get to the car, clutch down and brake to a stop. Little bit of a jerk there, handbrake up, little bit of gas again as the car in front moves away, lift the clutch to the bite point, handbrake off, get moving again, and when I catch up to the car in front again, clutch down and brake and handbrake up, and it just goes on and on like that. I mean, you can do it that way if you like, but it's hard work for you, and it's going to make your passengers feel sick from all the accelerating and braking and that little bit of a jerk you get when you brake uphill if you're not very experienced. Also, don't underestimate how much wear doing repeated handbrake starts can have on your clutch, especially if you're rushing and give too much gas. This is how I teach my customers to deal with traffic uphill. I give them two main goals. The first goal is to try to avoid stopping whenever possible, and the second goal is to try and let the hill finish the stop for you. Firstly, I'll focus on letting the hill do the stop. Basically, don't be on the brakes as the car stops, because if you're on the brakes as the car stops and you come off the brake, the car rolls back. Braking from a higher speed is fine. Just try not to be on the brake as the car stops. As you see now, I am braking, my clutch is down. Now I'm coming off the brake to let the hill finish the stop. I'm going to get first gear ready and add some gas. And as the car stops, I'll lift the clutch to the bite point to stop me rolling back. I can lift the clutch more to move forwards. I can push the clutch down to slow down. If I push the clutch down too much, I will roll back. But if I get the clutch just right, I can actually be still. Then, if I'm waiting for a long time, I can pull the handbrake up to keep the car still, push the clutch down. The handbrake's going to stop me from rolling back as I push the clutch down to let the clutch cool down. Now, I'm sure there are many of my viewers right now with itchy thumbs and fingers wanting to write in the comments about how that will burn the clutch. But the clutch doesn't really wear until it gets to about 200 degrees Celsius. And as long as you give minimal revs, say less than 1500 RPM or 1500 RPM of revs, you will get away with holding the clutch for at least 5 seconds without overheating it. However, if you know you're going to be waiting for a long time, get the car still with the clutch first, just for good practice, and once you're still, pull the handbrake up and push the clutch back down to let it cool down. Pulling the handbrake up will stop the car rolling back so that you can push the clutch down without rolling back. It's important to know that when the clutch is all the way down or all the way off, it's cooling down, but when the clutch is on the bite point, it's heating up. But what heats the clutch up really quickly is giving too many revs, say more than 2000 RPM of revs. If you do that, the clutch instantaneously overheats and can burn. You can even smell it. It smells quite bad. If you smell the clutch, you want to let it cool down. But what I've found in teaching people to drive is primarily relying on using good clutch control to deal with traffic instead of relying on handbrake starts to deal with traffic has actually reduced my clutch wear overall. My clutches last longer because my customers get better at juggling the gas and clutch quicker, so you don't panic with the handbrake starts over revving the engine and burning the clutch. In some cars you can get away without using any gas at all, which will significantly reduce clutch wear. This car can handle it. So if I bring the clutch up to the bite point and then come off the foot brake, the car doesn't move. But if you want to move away, I recommend adding some gas before accelerating to give yourself extra power and to avoid stalling. I also recommend practicing with the gas when you're learning anyway, even if your car is capable of doing it without gas, simply because not all cars are capable of doing it and you need the skills. Whichever method you use, make sure you're in first gear. But the real key is to avoid stopping completely, because this makes your life a lot easier and completely avoids clutch wear. To do this, you've got to be good at planning your acceleration. So when the car in front moves away, instead of trying to keep up with them and close the gap, move slowly. And hopefully they'll start moving again before you reach them, which means you won't have to stop. Doing it this way is easier for you, better for your car, and better for the environment. It just takes a little bit of forward planning. In most cars, if you're in first gear and off all the pedals, the car will pull you along at 4 to 5 miles an hour like mine is now. It's a really easy way to go slowly uphill and gives you zero clutch wear. If I want to slow down, I'll push the clutch down, then the hill will slow me down. Then I can use the gas and clutch to control my new lower speed. Or if I want to stop, I can either get it stopped by using gas and clutch control, like that, or press the brake and press the clutch down. That's if I want to stop for a while and I don't want to overheat the clutch. Then I can pull the handbrake up and do a little handbrake start to get me going again. But if you're in one of the few cars in this day and age that struggles to pull you along when you're off the pedals in gear, don't worry, just press a little bit of gas and that'll keep you going. It's not going to stall on you straight away, it's going to start struggling before it stalls, so it will give you a bit of vibration, a bit of warning first, so there's no need to panic. So what about approaching junctions uphill? Well, I have an uphill junction here. Going right, mirror signal right, I could try this method. Stop at the line using the foot brake, like so. There we go, I've stopped, handbrake up, first gear, then get some gas, got the sun in my eyes at the moment, a little bit of bite point, there it is, look, right and left, can't see anyone coming, can't see very well to the right, so I'm just going to move forward to get a better view. Nope, no one's coming, and now I'm going to continue. The advantage of this method is that it takes very little practice to get it right, and it gives you plenty of practice at handbrake starts. The disadvantage is that it's really hard for new drivers to get the braking right when they're approaching a line. They'll likely stop too early or too late and end up braking quite harshly, which is unsafe. Handbrake starts also take time, so whilst you're trying to do a handbrake start, if you get there and no one's coming, you're trying to get the handbrake up to get ready to go, and you may miss your opportunity. Also, it's very hard to creep forwards when you do a handbrake start, so if it's a very closed junction with a restricted view and you want to edge forward slightly to improve your view, it's very hard to predict how much you're going to accelerate forwards when you take that handbrake off after a handbrake start. If you already have your gas and your clutch ready, then it's easy. What I like to do is to get my customers to slow down too early. You want to feel like you're going to stop 2 to 3 car lengths before line, but come off the brake and don't actually let it stop. Let it roll forward slowly. Then you can get first gear and use gas and clutch control to keep yourself moving forward slowly. And that allows you to look both right and left whilst you're moving forwards. If you need to wait, you can wait with the clutch for a second, and when you can go, you can lift the clutch up to continue. It also allows you to edge forward slightly if you can't see. Don't worry if that feels like you're slowing down too early, you are, but with practice, you'll be able to slow down later and still do that method successfully. However, I wouldn't want to wait for a long time because that would burn the clutch. So if I was doing this method and it turned out I had to wait for quite a lot of traffic, say, I would stop the car gently at the line, which is easy. I can do that with clutch control exactly where I want to stop, or I can just clutch down and brake, and then use the handbrake to let the clutch cool down. And then I'll just do a handbrake start whenever all this pretend traffic I'm waiting for has cleared. But as there's no one here now, I'm going to go. The advantages of this method? Well, you already have gas and clutch ready when you get to the line. So if no one's coming, bam, you're ready to go. You're not going to miss your opportunities. You have more time as well. As you're approaching the junction slowly, you have time to keep your car in a good position if the road bends slightly or you're turning left and you've got to go around the mouth of the junction. And you have more time to be looking right and left to make decisions. Also, because you're already on the gas and clutch, you've already got control of the car, so it's easy for you to edge forward slightly on a really close junction to improve your view if you're struggling to see without shooting forwards. And every time you do a junction, or at least an uphill junction, you're going to be practicing your clutch control. The disadvantage is that it can take a little bit longer to begin with to master that good control. But once my customers seem to master it, everything else seems to fall into place, and overall I find it a quicker way of learning to deal with junctions well. In a manual car, if you can avoid stopping, or at least exchange stopping for going super slow whenever you can, your life will get a whole lot easier, because it's impossible to roll backwards when you're still going forwards. Many people are scared about rolling back on hills to the point where it actually makes it very hard for them to learn clutch control because they're so panicked about the possibility of rolling back. that they shut down from the driving instructor and they don't hear anything the driving instructor is telling them, and that makes the whole situation a lot worse. Rolling forwards and backwards when you're learning clutch control is normal. You have to rock forwards and backwards to get good at clutch control. So as long as it's safe, don't worry about it. And your driving instructor should stop you from rolling back if it's unsafe anyway. I would like to say that there's no right or wrong way to drive a car, only ways that work and don't work. You could argue some ways are better than others, but for your driving test, so long as it works and you're safe and legal, you should pass. If you're practicing without an instructor, make sure you have insurance. Get £20 off via the link in the description to Collingwood, who provides specialist learner insurance that allows you to practice in a friend or family member's car without risking their no claims bonus. If you want to insure your own car, click on the link to confused.com. I have found that they have the widest selection of cheap insurers for young drivers. I hope you found that useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. I am doing a downhill video. If you want to see my future videos, please subscribe and I'll see you on the next one.